everybody. It's nice to see everybody joining in. Sorry we're a few minutes late this morning. A little bit of internet connectivity was holding me back there, but I got that figured out in a few extra minutes. So now I'm happy that we're all able to meet again this morning. So this morning we have two birthdays that we're going to be celebrating. One is from my good friend Vicky on Saturday. We should have done this on Friday, but for some reason I wasn't in the loop and didn't know it was Vicky's birthday on Saturday, but that's okay. We can still do it today. So we're going to do our happy birthday to Vicky. And also we have another birthday. We have James in kindergarten who has a birthday this morning. It's actually his birthday today. So let's sing our happy birthdays to Vicky and to James. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vicky and James. Happy birthday to you. Okay, so happy birthday to our friends, and that's a really nice way to start off our music class. So today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I wanted to talk with you guys about a composer. And a composer is somebody who writes their own music. And we've been doing a little bit of composing ourselves lately, where we've been doing our own rhythms, and we've been putting our different rhythms together. But this particular composer we're talking about was a very, very famous composer that wrote his own music, and he is a very famous composer, like I said, and his name is Beethoven. And you guys have probably heard of him before. You maybe have heard of Beethoven. And the piece of music that I was playing at the very beginning, that was a piece of music by Beethoven. And we're going to hear a little bit more about that in a little while. So I see we've got Lily with us today, and we've got let's see, Neva with us, Liam, Ethan, and Owen. Hi, Liam, Ethan, and Owen. And we have Vicky with us. That's nice. The birthday girl's with us. And let's see who else we've got. Oh, and we have Allegra too. So great. We've got a nice full room right now, which is awesome. So on to what I was talking about Beethoven. He was born actually a very, very long time ago. In fact, it was 250 years ago that he was born. And he was a really, really talented pianist. He was really super good at playing piano as well as writing music as well. So he actually, unfortunately for him, started becoming deaf when he was in his 20s. And you can imagine that for somebody who's a musician or writing music, that must have just been horrible, because you would want to be able to hear your own music. So we're going to be learning a little bit about some of the music that Beethoven wrote. And you may not know some of the music and know that Beethoven wrote it. You may not know the name, but I'm sure you do know the tune to some of it. So I'm going to replay the tune I was playing at the beginning. This was a piece of music called Für Elise, which some of you may have heard of before. And Beethoven actually wrote this piece of music for a girl. He had a crush on a girl, and he wanted to marry her very, very much, but she didn't want to marry him. So it was very nice that he wrote a piece of music for her, probably one of his most famous pieces of music, but it also was sad that she didn't want to marry him. But anyway, we are lucky in the fact that we get to have this beautiful piece of music to listen to. because of his little crush on Therese, who they actually nicknamed Elise. And that's why it's called Für Elise. Für in German means for. So this means for Elise. And this is the piece of music which I'm pretty sure that everybody might recognize. So I'm pretty sure some of you might have heard that piece of music before and be able to say, hey, I heard that. I've hummed that before. I've heard my friend play that. So that was one of his very famous pieces of music that he wrote, like I say, that you may not already know the name of, but now you do. Okay, so to move on to some more of Beethoven's famous music that you may have heard of, I'm going to move over to another instrument here that we heard on Friday. And I'm wondering who was paying attention and knows what instrument it is. Let's have a look. Okay, this was the instrument that I played on Friday. And I'm wondering if you know which family of instruments it comes from. I'll give you a hint. It has these, and it's from the string family. And it is not a violin. I'll tell you why this is definitely not a violin. For one, it's way too big, and I don't think I'd fit this under my chin. And on top of that, it has this big end pin, so that might not end very well for me if I tried to put this underneath my chin. So this instrument, in case you don't remember, if you weren't here on Friday, this is called the cello. And it is the third biggest instrument in the string family. First of all, there's violin. Then slightly bigger violin is viola. Then there's this cello. And then there's the big stand-up bass called the double bass. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to use the cello to show you some of the songs that Beethoven wrote. So let's continue on. Now, I think probably one of Beethoven's most famous pieces was from one of his symphonies. Now, Beethoven wrote 9 symphonies, which is pretty amazing because they are such huge pieces of music. And he wrote 9 of them. And this one was from his 5th symphony. And I bet everybody has heard this before. So I bet there's not one person out there that hasn't heard that before. So, and we're probably singing it along going, da-na-na-na, when something really crazy or dramatic happens and everyone goes, da-na-na-na. So that now you know that Beethoven wrote that as well. Now on Friday, I showed you something else that you may not have seen before, and that is like our little musical ticking clock, and that's called a metronome. And we learned that it has a little weight. Let me pop this toe down for a second. And it has a little weight at the top and a bunch of numbers. So if you remember, if the weight is at the top, it makes the metronome go slower. If I put it way down at the bottom, it's going to go, you got it, fast. And then if I put it somewhere in the middle, it's going to go about medium speed. But what is very cool about this is how on our clock or watch, you can tell the time. On this helps us to learn how to play with a steady beat, and also composers that are writing music can tell us how fast we're supposed to be playing it, because they will give us the number and then we'll adjust it. So the piece I'm going to play next is at 44. So I'm moving it up to 44. And then we're going to hear a piece that's supposed to be played at that speed. So let's hear what that piece of music is. This piece of music is actually from Beethoven's 7th Symphony. Oh, sorry, leading you astray. His 6th Symphony. And he called it the Pastoral Symphony. And he wrote about all kinds of beautiful scenes and weather and animals and seasons. And this piece of music came right after a big storm. And this one was called the Shepherd's Song. And it was supposed to be all about happy feelings, being glad that the storm is over. Okay, so let's see if you recognize this piece of music. There's the metronome to tell me what speed to play it at. So that's a very beautiful piece of music that Beethoven wrote. And that was just right towards the end of the symphony. So he wanted to finish up the whole piece of music by having a beautiful piece, song that made people feel happy after all the little musical journey that he'd taken them through. All right, so one of the things I was telling you about is the fact that Beethoven was growing deaf. Now, the interesting part about this next piece of music, this was his piece of music from his 9th Symphony. And can you believe that he wrote the entire 9th Symphony while he was completely deaf? He couldn't hear a single note that he was writing down. He heard it all in his head. And isn't that just amazing? I can't imagine not being able to hear any of the music that I was writing down for other people to play. And get this, he was conducting the very first performance of the 9th Symphony while he was completely deaf. He actually had a second conductor that stood off to the side that could hear, just to help make sure that everybody stayed together. And at the end of the performance, when Beethoven had finished and he's standing there and he was finished with this amazing piece of music that he'd written in his first performance, that second conductor had to come over to him and turn him around, because right behind him was this gigantic concert hall full of people that were clapping and cheering, and he couldn't even hear them clapping and cheering. So that other conductor had a great second job in that he turned him around and let Beethoven know how much everybody really loved his music. So I think that was a very cool part of Beethoven's story for us to hear about. So next then is for us to hear the piece of music that he put in that last symphony that he wrote. And some of you have probably played this if you're playing an instrument, or definitely might have heard it before, and it's called Ode to Joy. it. That is Beethoven's Ode to Joy. And that's what finished off his amazing and beautiful piece of music that he wrote for at the end of his 9th symphony. I'm pretty sure that that was a very unbelievable thing for him to be able to do while he was completely deaf. So today we were celebrating Beethoven, born 250 years ago. But imagine, he was born 250 years ago. He wrote all that music so many, many, many years ago, and we're all still listening and playing it right now. So that's the very cool thing about writing music and being able to hear somebody's music long, long after they're gone. So I'm happy to share some of that with us today. So I'm going to move on because we haven't done any singing yet today other than our happy birthday. So I thought it might be fun for us to remember one of our songs we haven't done in a while, and also one of the ones that we didn't do. I get myself turned around here. One of the ones we didn't do on Friday. There we go. Too many instruments around today. Okay, here we are. So we're going to do the Purple Light song, which we haven't done in a little while. So remember this one. If you want to do the echo part, then you can sing the line after me. So let's try it like that just to remind you of the song. Purple lights in the canyon. That is where I long to be with my 3 good companions, my guitar, my pony, and me. Now remember, that's how it ends every single time. My guitar, my pony, and me. Okay? If you know the words, then you can sing along at the same time, or there's a little space for you to sing right after, so then it works as an echo song. Okay? Let's try the whole thing. Off we go. Purple lights in the canyon, that is where I long to be with my 3 good companions, my guitar, my pony, and me. Whippoorwill in the willow, whippoorwill in the willow, sings a song, a melody for my 3 good companions, my guitar, my pony, and me. Gonna hang my sombrero. Here we go. Gonna hang my sombrero on the limb of a tree for my 3 good companions, my guitar, my pony, and me. No more cows to be roping. Off we go. No more cows to be roping. No more strays shall I see. Just my 3 good companions, my guitar, my pony, and me. One more time. My guitar, my pony, and me. Okay, great. That was nice to be able to sing that one again. It's been a little while since we've done that one. Okay, and then we did a song on Friday, but we didn't do the crazy one about whether your ears hang low and if you can tie them in a bow. Who remembers that one? It's, do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? And if you remember when we sang it, I think it was this time last week on Monday, we did a few different versions of it because we started slow and then we got a little bit quicker and then we got a little bit quicker. And then it was a big challenge to see if we could actually sing all the words and remember them and not get mixed up and tongue twisted. So let's try it. your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental shoulder? Do your ears hang low? Okay, did you manage to keep up with that one? Let's see. One more time. Off we go. Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Okay, good. So now we've got the words down. Okay, and we'll do it a little bit quicker. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Okay, good job. Do you keep up with that speed? Now we're going to go one last time. We're going to go even faster. Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Did you do that one more time? Ready? Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Do you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Whoa, that was fast on the last time. I hope you all managed to keep in time and sing along. Okay, so I think it's time for a book. I have a book all about a boy that wrote and played his own music. And it's called Simon Makes Music by Gilles Thibault. All right. And the man that wrote this actually wrote it in many different languages so that he could share this book with a lot of people. And he won lots of prizes for this book. So we're going to turn to the first page. And here we are. That's funny because we just heard the Shepherd's Song by Beethoven. And this boy is out playing music with the sheep. My name is Simon. And I love music. If I play to my animal friends to see if music makes them happy, the way music makes me. I go to a pasture where little lambs leap. Tweet, tweet goes my flute as I play to the sheep. Some sheep say ba, ba, others just stare. The lambs go on leaping as if I'm not there. If I go out at dawn, when a cocky cock crows, boo-ba-boo, boo-ba-boo, my trumpet blows. He seems to ask, just who are you? As he answers, cock-a-doodle-doo. But he can't much like the music I play. It scares him so much, he jumps down and away. I go to a meadow where mother cows moo. Their bells go bing-bong and their tails go shoo-shoo. My bell goes clink-clong to a tune I am beating. They pay no attention, but go right on eating. I sing songs in my saddle, sad songs cowboys sing. I strum twang, 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 and pluck on a string. But my horse seems to hate my guitar and its sound. He neighs, neigh, and knocks me to the ground. Oh my goodness. I take my harp to a lake where silent swans swim. I want to join them in a heavenly hymn. I touch the strings gently, ping, pang, pong, ping, ping, but the swans swim away. They simply won't sing. I open a box where a dancer is twirling to a music that tinkles and swirls as she's whirling. I ask her, why don't the animals care? She says, they hear other sounds in the nature, and it's everywhere. I go to the woods to hear songs nature sings.
Can I make such sounds on my violin strings? Zing, zing goes my bow as leaves blow to the ground. But I feel only lonely, for there's no one around. I go out in a storm and watch lightning flash. I bang on my drum with each boom and crash. But the thunder's so loud and the lightning so bright, it gives me a fright as it lights up the night. The thunder is louder than even my drum. I call Marlene to help me. I beg her to come. When Marlene comes, she brings a xylophone. She doesn't like to play alone. So we try to tap with plinks, planks, and plops, in tune to the rain and the sound of the drops. We have fun doing a duet together until our music is stopped by the very bad weather. On top of a hill, we meet another musician. His accordion plays while we tell him our mission. It whistles and wheezes as he pulls in and out. We ask him to tell us what music's about. You know, he said, music's more fun if two play it instead of one. It's even better with more than two, so why not do something, both of you? Look how many friends they managed to get for the end of the song. We call all our friends the very next day and give each one of them something to play. Marlene stands and conducts to give us the beat. Some of us even keep time with our feet. The tweets and the boobahs, the clings and the clongs, the twangs and the zings, the booms and the bongs. Our orchestra makes such a wonderful sound. We think it's the very best sound around. Then the music turns into magic for us. Birds fly down and join in a chorus. And that is the end of Simon Makes Music. And that was a great book for today because we were talking about making music and how Beethoven wrote all that music for everybody to be able to sing and play together, and particularly our very last one where we learned that the whole of the Ninth Symphony was written while he was deaf. In our book, the people were lucky that they could all hear everything, even though if some of the animals didn't want to hear it. They had music anyway. Well, I'm glad that we all got together to have music today. And I hope that we will see you again on Wednesday. And just a quick heads up that Wednesday is going to be our last music class this week because Friday is a Pro D Day and Monday is Victoria Day. So we will have one more class this week and then we will see you again the following Wednesday. All right, so thanks again for joining us and I look forward to seeing you all again on Wednesday. Bye-bye for now.